For those that were not here in the other sessions, my name is Danielo Garcia. I am the general manager of the studio B&H. We have some technology on display right outside of here, including cameras, live switching, production, iPhone, videography solution, PTZ, and one setup that includes solution from Blackmagic, related to the topic that we're going to talk today, which is immersive for content creation and delivery. So today's topic is modern tool sets and workflows behind the creation of compelling immersive experiences. We're very excited to have this panel here, and I'm going to hand it over to Erik, who will be your moderator.
Sorry, I'm really sorry if you're fed up with me right now. Again, my dear friend couldn't make it at the last minute out from New York, and so I've had to jump in here to cover for him. So
you're doing great.
Let's start off by talking about who you are and what your background is in this field. All right, so Matthew?
I'll kick it off. My name is Matthew Celia. I'm the co-founder of a company called Lightsail VR. We are a boutique creative studio, I guess, but basically we're obsessed with immersive video, and we specialize in immersive video. Been around for about 10 years. We've done projects for Google and Meta and you name it, brands, commercials, agencies, stories. We do a lot of music. We did 2 seasons of Red Rocks Live in VR for Meta. Got Emmy nominations for both of those, and last year we took home the Emmy for Saturday Night Live 50th anniversary special in 3D 360, which was so cool. But, you know, I love to nerd out about immersive storytelling.
Awesome.
I'm Jason Diamond, one half of the Diamond Brothers, and there's another guy over there who looks like me, and Scott, who's a spiritual Diamond Brother. We are a full, both traditional and immersive studio. We've been in the game since the 90s. I hopefully don't look as old as I am. And we have always been at the forefront of storytelling, but with technology as a huge component of what we do. So we're always trying to be about 2 years ahead of everybody from what's even bubbling up, so that by the time it hits the main flow for everyone, it's like we're experts in it and are then on to the next thing and able to use it in our productions. We've also been doing immersive for about 10 years, and similar client lists, you know, Google, Samsung, Meta, and have done a number of large concert gigs for Meta, like Doja Cat in Detroit and Blackpink in Seoul, Korea, and most recently working on action film for an unnamed distributor with Robert Rodriguez, which was super fun to work in his world for like the last for 3 weeks in December.
Awesome. Veronica?
Hi, I'm Veronica Flint, founder of Quixotica, and we do virtual reality, augmented reality, and immersive tech in content creation. Also some video games here and there. Worked on an augmented reality project called Iago that won a Webby. Worked on Stranger Things VR. Worked on a lot of Snapchat AR projects, so a lot of Snapchat lenses. Lots of immersive narrative shorts. And I come from a background of creating a lot of I'd say like branded cinematic VR content before getting into building my own studio. Yeah.
Awesome. So I do have a little bit of background in this. I actually did a piece that was True VR, piece called Wonder Buffalo. I don't know if anybody ever heard of this, but we did photogrammetry, 956 photos of a room. We then did volumetric video of the lead actor and her mother as they were talking, and went up for an Emmy, but we didn't win. But I haven't been in the field for a long time. That was 2017. So tell me what's really exciting out there right now.
I mean, it's funny because, like you said, you did that in 2017, right? And that is still so far beyond, I think, where we're even now in 2026. I mean, now I think with splats, causing splats, we're getting more interesting things. We're doing like some 4D stuff there. But the reality is I think at least for Jason and I on the stage, like we're trying to make a commercial entertainment play, right? And it's like we're trying. At least I'll speak for myself. What we're trying to do is make stuff that can be seen by millions of people, and it's a real ecosystem of actual commercial art that is going to go wide. And I think some of the coolest stuff is still very fringe and probably won't be wide for another decade or so. What I'm trying to establish is how do we make this an economy, an ecosystem, and get more people out there creating content. Because what I hear from people is, hey, I just spent $4,000 on a headset. There's nothing for me to watch.
I mean, I will echo that in that multi-stage, there is no before this, after this moment in VR and immersive. I mean, we've had good pieces, certainly lots of great work, but there's not this like Star Wars, Jurassic Park, Avatar, blah, blah. You think before and after, very key advancing moments in the medium. We haven't been there yet. That's our dream is that we chase is to be a part of that, facilitate that in any manner, whether it's, getting coffee to actually making it, to make sure that happens in our medium, to Matt's point, to make sure that someone who bought a headset or wants to buy a headset is going, I have to buy a headset to see this thing, and then I have to bring it to my friend's house immediately and say, you have to watch this. Not to sell headsets, it's not my game, but that's a nice downstream benefit for the headset makers. But we want people to consume the content the way that they go and tell their friends, I just saw one battle after another, let's go. I'll go for a second time, right?
Yeah, I mean, like, I think the Vision Pro is like the best headset as far as like quality, and like the Quest 3 has a lot of content. So like what I'm mostly excited for, like as the hardware gets better, it also has a large content library that everybody can get access to and try out and experience, and also just make it. And at an affordable price. So that's what I'm excited for it to get better and affordable is what it's.
And just to add on to that, I think like a lot of times we think of a very accelerated technology timeline, but I view immersive much more like I do the dawn of film than I do any other medium, where, between the dawn of movies and Jurassic Park was 100 years, right? Like it takes a lot of time to find the nuances in storytelling and the technology and the language. And I think that everyone thought it was going to magically arrive in 3 years, but they didn't really understand that, like, there's a lot to figure out.
So speaking of figuring things out, let's talk about the tools and the workflows. So Veronica, I'll start with you on that one. Talk about some of the things you've been interacting with or aspects that you think are important.
Well, I've been using a lot of both Unity and Unreal for content creation. I come from also like VFX and animation and artist side of things, of creating everything from like creating the characters, the world, the story, and like having like a small team of friends like creating cool stuff together. And so like using tools like Maya or Blender, and Maya and Motion Builder to create like interactive, immersive games and experiences, and just making it accessible has been pretty amazing. And just like Blender is a great democratization of like an open source software, and using more, having readily available open source software that's just a download away is always amazing. And so, and then like, Quest 3 is like a good starting point of like testing it out, trying things out, or even downloading Unreal Engine and testing out free fab marketplace assets that you can just import and like imagine what you can do, and just so yeah.
Having gone through this sort of current, because VR was kind of in the 90s too, but like the current decade we're in has been amazing to see the proliferation of actual tools that do the actual thing, as opposed to like, well, that gets there and we can like hack it and like kind of make it do this, which was the same for cameras. Like we'd have to like bolt a bunch of cameras to the plate, and then it becomes it's really a visual effects job at that point. It's not a shoot it and post it job. So, I mean, super excited about the last few years between like lenses Canon have made to put on a single camera to get stereo on one camera, to, of course, the Blackmagic camera that I think we're all super excited about and have used to some degree in whatever to get like 7.2K per eye at 90 frames, like holy shit, you know. And so, you know, and Resolve that has a workflow already built in for the most part. You know, you got to find ways through certain things, but and then we're really excited. You know, we built some of our own tools. We built our own live headset preview software because we needed it to do very specific things, and it will take any source in. It could be two flat eyes from a beam splitter. It could be a mono eye. It could be fish eyes, whatever, and we can project it in the headset real time so that us or someone we're supporting on a film or a project can do what they would do on a normal film and look at a monitor. They can see it in the headset. We can go, that feels weird. That doesn't feel weird. Oh, that's really cool. We didn't think it was going to work, but look, it works. Move the camera, whatever. So, you know, for us, that's really important to have like an immediately extensible tool that we can change on the fly sometimes, which we do, to solve a problem or whatever.
I mean, every job is so bespoke in Immersive because it's moving so fast. One of the things that Lightsail has been really focusing on is how do we bring new voices into this ecosystem. So, like, you know, I had the great opportunity to collaborate with Eli Roth. Absolute brilliant horror director, producer, filmmaker. He's a real true nerd about this stuff, and it's so great. And so I knew immediately that we had to figure out how do we meet him where he likes to work. You know, building a live headset preview system so that that's wireless, that he can like walk around and direct in headset and be able to place the actors and have as little friction as possible. And then, you know, when we got into the edit, building a system for him to be able to review that edit in headset, you know, where you can, it's basically Frame.io in a headset where you download it, you watch it, you can pause a video, make a note, make an annotation, so that you don't have this like cumbersome, like, how do I get it onto my headset, and how do I do this, and take that off, and write down notes, what was that time code? The problem is that, like, for the first, I think, 8 years of this last decade, making content has been so cumbersome that the technology gets in the way of the creative storytelling, and you spend all your time banging your head against the desk watching a progress bar fail, instead of going, is this a good story? Am I doing the creative thing? And, like, my mission is to work with people to be like, you're a creative genius. Let me help you do what you do best and not have to worry about how much RAM your computer has.
Especially right now. Jason, do you want to talk a little bit more, or can you talk a little bit more about that creative process and flushing those ideas out with the creative? Because I think that Matt was really on a great point there.
Yeah, I mean, I'll use the Robert Rodriguez project as an example. Like, I mean, we all know him. He's a maverick. He does his own thing. He has his own studio. He's like mini George Lucas, you know, in Austin. And to be able to work like almost as being a not fully creative because he's the guy, but right, like creative partner, technology partner, to be able to say, hey, like, you want to do this and you have this idea, let's like look at it in the headset and make sure that it's working, and be like, yeah, we can't like do this with the camera, right? But what can we do? Like, I don't want to hamper anybody, right? And I'm a director myself, so I put my director brain on and I say, and luckily he's a super collaborative dude. So it's like, hey, in this shot, like, I think we should do this. And he'd be like, okay, let's try it. Not like, who are you? You know, like those are to the Eli Roth point, I'm sure he was the same. Like, you want people who are creatively collaborative, and then, you know, as a both creative and technical supervisor on that job, like I felt, it wasn't dictated to me, I felt it was my responsibility to be able to communicate to all the department heads how they needed to change what they do in their normal movie brain to VR movie brain, because dolly grip pushes a dolly for a very specific reason. When you push a dolly grip pushes a dolly in VR, they're pushing someone's head, right? And that is a completely different thing. So being able to have, in our case, like a very traditional background, be able to meet them where they are and say, hey, I know you normally do it this way, and here's why. I understand why you do that. You cannot do that, but here's how you should try it, and then let's find the happy medium. And so it was nice to get to a point where all the department heads were coming to me at the end of a setup or a take and being like, how did that work? What do I need to change, right? Which now feels like a really creative part and partnership in the production instead of just being like, pixel pusher or something.
Veronica, do you kind of feel this emerging language now within Immersive coming out, or what are your experiences with some of these?
I mean, I tried my first VR narrative experience like 10 years ago. I mean, I played around with a lot of different like VR games, but going to local events or just watching 360 video content 10 years ago really like thought about like how storytelling could work in virtual reality. And yeah, it feels like I'm, like the Vision Pro is now 180 versus 360, and so like the kind of like the rules that they had back then have kind of like some of it have stayed and some of it has kind of like changed a little bit, but like all the same traditional like flat screen visual filmmaking storytelling techniques also apply in immersive VR, and even just like even in like environmental level game design also applies to like how do you tease the audience into looking in specific directions, and like how do you do pacing and timing all kind of applies the same way in virtual reality. And so like when you're doing something interactive, then you have to think about like the agency and like how to give clues to like a player, but like in traditional or just like regular 180 immersive format, it's great to see a lot of like advances like over the time. Like you have like greater depth and stereoscopy now. So yeah, and as you guys were talking about Gaussian splats, like that's also going to be incredible to like merge and blend all of that. Gaussian splats, just like advanced photogrammetry, high, might even get, maybe we'll overcome the uncanny valley and get to extremely.
It's getting more like the 3D, the real being able to move is getting there.
Yeah, because that's like with the Apple immersive documentaries and the films there, that's like the one thing that's missing is the sixth off. Right, it's still 3'd off and you're just locked to turning your head around, and like if only you can just kind of like get in and like walk around and see things up and close in detail.
Now I'm not feeling so out of date.
So there's this great experience on Apple Vision Pro called D-Day Camera Soldier that a studio called Targo made, which has gotten me really excited because it's basically a story about this woman whose grandfather took all those amazing photos that we all know about the D-Day Normandy page. And the way that Targo chose to do this is using all forms of storytelling. So you have rectilinear 3D, 3D TV basically, while we're in the house. She finds a shoebox in her closet. She unpacks the shoebox, but then those objects in the shoebox become photogrammetry 3D real objects in front of you. You can pick up, move around, and get close, like interact with, which is what kind of you were saying. And then you travel to the beach in Normandy, and now it's a 180 video. Now you're there. And then you get to the spot where these photos were captured, and the world becomes a 3D 360. Like you have sixth off in it, I believe. It's a 3D scene reenacting when the U-boat lands on that beach. And for me, this is the most exciting stuff in immersive is when we start to blend the different modalities of storytelling in the different ways in order to create an experience that you really truly can't get in any other medium. And that piece has stayed with me so deeply since I saw it because I just feel like I was there.
I mean, it's the same sort of like presence model that you have even in IMAX, right? Like Christopher Nolan's like, you got to see my movie on the largest screen that in the world, which I live in New York. We have Lincoln Square. It's the largest screen in America, and it is an experience to see essentially a medium format film shot on an IMAX camera and shown in a screen that is obscenely large.
I almost categorize some of this as large format content.
100%. It really is more like IMAX.
And I definitely see that huge trend, not just Sphere, but some of the other things. It was the one in LA, Cosm.
Yeah, Cosm.
More and more, these things, and even IMAX. People are going less and less to the regular theater. These special experiences are really what they want.
Right,
Because they
you-
were probably special experiences when they couldn't have 85-inch television.
Well, it was like Cinerama Dome or any of that kind of stuff, a reason to leave the house or experience something you cannot get anywhere else.
Yeah, trying to get my
Essentially.
wife to a movie? Oh, it's
Yeah.
terrible.
Well, time for a new wife.
Oh, I like that one.
Okay, well, then you're going to the movies by yourself.
I've swapped a couple times. It's not good.
Okay, that's fine. That's
Well,
fine.
like you were talking about there was the Bloomhouse app on the MetaQuest.
Yeah, Blumhouse has a
Yeah.
thing called Enhanced Cinema on MetaQuest, and what it does is you're watching what is that movie with Ethan Hawke? Black Phone, right? You're watching Black Phone, and it's it's a movie screen. But what they do that's so interesting is they don't just create a 3D environment that you're watching Black Phone in. They scan your room and have a spatial understanding of your environment and then reskin the walls to look like the basement that this kid is trapped in. And then they'll appear the little bottle that spins, and you get all this little extra stuff that I think enhances the storytelling. And Cosm's doing something kind of the same way with Matrix Shared Reality, where they're taking
was
a
awesome.
movie that we love. I love The Matrix so much. 1999 was peak civilization. And
Y2K, bro.
yeah, and then they make you feel like you're totally there. For me, it's about how much information sticks with us. And recently, there's been all these articles about, is immersive dead? Is VR dead? Why is this the thing that keeps coming back again and again and again? And I think the answer is really simple. All that information coming into your brain as a human, you get addicted to it because it's so exciting and it stays with you. And there's something, at least for a large section of the population, that makes your heart thump just a little bit louder.
Well, because we live in reality, most people, and we, being able to go somewhere, see something, do something that you can't do, narratively, documentary-wise, experiential, whatever. I think we're getting there technologically. I think what's the average scientific estimation we see in 120 frames a second or something like that, right? Ish. So we're at 60 base now. Apple's pushing 90. When we do, we all got to get to where Doug Trumbull was in the 70s and get to 120 and what James Cameron's doing with Avatar. Frame switching, between shots. This shot's 24. This shot's 48. If you could, that was the.
Or the long walk home.
Yeah, Billy Lynn's.
Billy Lynn.
Well, that was Ang Lee, but yeah, but yeah, they're all following Trumbull's lead, and it may or may not work, but nobody's really tested it. Silent running, and then that was it, right? So, or theme park stuff. So, I sat in Avatar with my 19-year-old son and his friends, and they were like, "This looks like a video game," because they are used to super high frame rate. My kid has a 240 hertz monitor. Right, he's not afraid of high frame rate, but he also goes to the movies with me a lot, and it knows what 24 frame cinema looks like. So it's this brain switching of kind of merging those two things.
So, serious question: on your TV, do you have motion smoothing
Don't
turned
ask
on?
me. If you even ask me that.
Wait, did he like the high frame rate scenes in Avatar? Or no?
Yeah. They were genuinely engaged, but they still, even 19-year-olds, were surprised, because it's not something that is ubiquitous in film. It's still a special thing because nobody's doing it outside of a Gemini Man or a Billy Lynn. So there's no ubiquity, even though the technology is.
Should have made it high frame rate throughout the whole movie.
I agree, but
Yes.
that's a lot of money.
I still get into that debate with directors where they really don't like that high frame rate feel, and they're always like, can it look like film?
That's why you can't use the word cinema and immersive together, because it's.
Ouch.
No, you can't, because cinema has such an emotional tie to fuzzy, bouncing images on a projector that we all think about. It's just not the same.
All right, we got 60 seconds left. What's your favorite piece of content, really quickly, that you've seen? And we're going to start with you, Veronica.
Favorite piece of content?
In the last year, what have you seen that's immersive that just wowed you or amazed you? We already know Matthew's answer, but
I really love it. D-Day Camera Soldier by a studio called Hargo. I wish it was my piece.
I'll just go ahead and say, because I worked on it, you should probably check out Before Your Eyes. It's a good.
That is really
It's
good.
an eye blinking. If you can try it
Oh,
on
cool.
PlayStation VR, and it tracks. There's built-in eye tracking in the headset, but you can also try it on Netflix games. It's an immersive game, but yeah, every time you blink, you fast forward in time, and it's like yeah.
Fascinating.
I'm going to be slightly self-serving and say it's the piece I just worked on that I think we did a lot of cool stuff in that I want people to see, so maybe someone else would say that as their choice. The piece that I worked on
The name of the piece.
Oh, I can't say it. But it's
not
but
out
it's
yet.
it's
I thought you
it's
said
Robert
Split Say
Rodriguez.
it.
Robert
It's,
Rodriguez.
I think it's going to be really good.
Yeah. So hopefully it's
Keep an eye out.
yeah. Who knows
when can we expect
I have
it?
no idea.
Do we have any idea on the platforms? What's going to be
I
playing
can't
on?
tell you.
Oh. All right. We got a mystery here. All right. Well, thank you, everyone, so much. Really appreciate your time. Come up.
Thanks
say hi.
everyone for coming.
Thank you.
Cheers.